What a contradiction, right? Having overcome cancer and still wanting to end your life. Now I see so clearly, compassion changed my life.
Samuel Fernandez-Carriba was born in the Spanish mountains in the tiny remote village of Mensaje. He was the youngest of 8 children born to 2 incredibly loving and devoted farmers.
They cultivated the land, they did it for their own survival. They did what they could, and when my oldest sister turned 14, they realized there were no opportunities for education for her, and that's what made them move. They wanted a greater living for all of us. So when you have 8 children, you don't hesitate, you do what you need to do.
Samuel's parents' devotion to their children was so influential that they continued to inspire him, even when an unimaginable tragedy took his mother from him when he was just 16 years old.
I lost my mom when I was only 16. That was a tragic accident. But I think that resilience, that aspiration to do well, to do better, stayed with me. So that's very hard to say that somebody's entirely gone when you feel she's so present.
From then on, Samuel began excelling in his studies, earning numerous scholarships, all to achieve his ultimate goal of becoming a clinical psychologist.
The funny thing here is that I got really cold feet when I started to work with people, because my original plan was to become a clinical psychologist, but I became so scared of people's problems. I remember sleepless nights thinking, how do I help people? This is so much deeper than I ever thought. So I decided to change fields, and I started to work with chimpanzees.
Samuel went on to research the psychology of primates in Atlanta, Georgia.
I actually did my dissertation on emotional behavior in chimpanzees, which were a safe species. They are so incredibly smart, and I don't think we even start to imagine what they are capable of. The opportunity arose to work with children with autism. I had a little bit of experience working with children at a summer camp, and then I had, my graduate courses in clinical psychology. So it seemed like I was a good fit for that position at the time. When I decided to go back and work with children, had I overcome my fear of people suffering? I had not, but children are different. Children, don't have a baggage. They cry their lungs out, and then they're over it. I thought I had found my niche working with the children. There was still one part that was very, very hard for me, which was actually the parents suffering. I give diagnosis every week, 4 times a week, and I still cannot imagine really what it must be like to have a child that you adore, that is your everything, and somebody tells you the plan you had for that child is different. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of presence to realize that plan doesn't have to be worse, it's just different.
Samuel did everything he could to empathize with the parents, but he never truly understood their pain until he found himself on the other end of the diagnosis. In 2007, Samuel began having terrible headaches. The unbearable pain sent him to the hospital, where an MRI revealed a cancerous tumor on his brain.
And I had brain cancer, quite unexpectedly, of course.
Before he had the opportunity to process what had just happened, he was wheeled into surgery to have the tumor removed. After strenuous chemotherapy sessions, Samuel's cancer was declared in remission. But instead of being overjoyed, Samuel found himself overwhelmed.
A few months after I was declared in complete remission, I sank into big clinical depression. I think honestly it was this huge responsibility of having again my whole life before me and not having a clear plan, because I had been given a second chance and that was too much to take. I have to say, even I had suicidal thoughts.
His cancer battle was over, but a new battle had just begun. His immigration status was hanging in the balance, and without becoming a licensed psychologist, Samuel would not be permitted to stay in the United States much longer. Just days after completing his chemotherapy, Samuel began teaching at Georgia State University, as well as working at the Veterans Affairs Hospital, all to achieve his psychology license. He continued to fight plaguing feelings of suicide and depression, but a simple encounter changed his life forever.
By desperation, I ran into this research group doing meditation. It was cognitively based compassion training, and it was actually somebody that was working with me at the time, and he said, "Oh, I'm doing this study and it's all scientific." And I said, "Well, meditation, you know, it's not for me really." "Oh, you need to give it a try. It's just attention training. It's very logical. There's no hocus pocus or talk about esoteric or spiritual things." And I said, "Oh, okay." And I started to go. And then in 2009, and I remember this because within a few days that I started to practice this daily, I was starting to feel perky. And I thought, oh my goodness, now I'm going bipolar. What is going on? But it didn't go away, and for 10 years now, it never went away. And I remember telling my family, you know, I think I have found the key to happiness. I don't have happiness yet, but I know how to find it. And it's about the method. It's about how you interact with your circumstances.
In 2012, Samuel became a licensed psychologist. He began teaching cognitively based compassion training to parents, patients, and doctors all across the world. Samuel began to realize that everything he had experienced as a patient was all part of a bigger story. Once he found the compassion to deal with his diagnosis, Samuel had the ability to help other patients and doctors cope with their situations as well. Samuel witnessed the resilience of the human spirit. He watched parents who were once devastated with their child's diagnosis become autism awareness advocates, passionate to show the world just how amazing their children can be. And as devastating as Samuel's diagnosis was, it had put him on the track to change countless lives with everything that he had learned. But cancer was not finished. In 2016, the headaches came back. MRIs revealed that Samuel had cancer again, this time on the other side of his brain.
And I wanted something. Last year, I'm diagnosed for the second time with cancer, and again, not expected. But instead of sinking like I did the first time, grinding my teeth and hoping it will go away, I find myself, it's almost a surprise, find myself dealing with it. And I had all this time off in which I could travel, I could renovate my house. I could actually concentrate on my research on compassion and write a few grants. And true, I had to go back to the hospital every other weekend for chemotherapy. That was not the most pleasant experience, but most of all, I had time to be with others. Hello, I'm meeting here with my family. This is my brother Isidro, my sister-in-law Marga. And what happens when you have cancer, you realize how kind people are.
This is Kimberly, everyone.
Maybe it's necessary for you to go through something big for all of us to wake up and say, oh, we are all human. He may die, I may die. What it is that I can do for you, because I will be happy to do it. It was such a lovely time. And I was saying this to people, saying, okay, you say you have cancer and you're having a wonderful time. And I say, I know, it's weird, isn't it? But aren't you afraid of dying? Honestly, I was not. Well, if I die, I die. But right now I'm alive and it's so much fun. I won't think anymore. I've changed. I've changed. I've changed. I wanted perfection in every word I ever sang, but that was wrong. And I wanted something from every person I've ever known, but that was wrong.